Akadosh Boker Or Masechet Bava Kamma Daf Bava Mudalef 36. We just spoke about yesterday about the 36 candles in the Chanukiah. So we're on Daf Lamed Vav tomorrow, which starts Hanukkah, also representing the Lamed Vav Tzadikim. That each of them are giving off the light in this world. It says over here like this. The Gemara asked that if it says over there Mishtalem Akata Min Muad Ve'Gadol Min Atam. So he said, so it's mashma that you do take something. You remember yesterday we were talking about that if the guy comes and he says A and the other one says B, he gets nothing if he doesn't bring a proof. So he said, but why? Here it's mashma that you do take something. So the Gemara answered the tefas. So this is where we are. Okay, the two dots. Hayu shneim shalish echad. If you have two ox that belong to one human being, shnehem shalish echad, shnehem hayavim. Both of them are going to be obligated. Okay, both of them are going to be obligated in the nezek. So Amale Rava Miparzika Ravashi says the Rava Miparzika to Ravashi. Shema Mina, we learn from here, Shvarim Tamim Shiziku, which means, right, when you know that one of them actually came and he, how do you call this? And he gored, okay? Ratza, right, if the Nizak comes and he wants to collect mizeh goveh, ratza mizeh goveh. He says if each one wants to come and they want to collect, so they're allowed to collect, right? That means there's no svara that only you're going to have a short tam, which is nagach, is mishtabed l'tashum nezek. He should pay for the nezek. So here you see though that basically you could collect from whichever one it is. So says the Gemara, hacha ma'askinan b'muadim. We're not talking about tams. Because if it was a tam, you could only collect from the tam. You can't start collecting from the other tam. Now, if you have two of them that they came and they damaged, so now how are you going to collect from which one? So he says, no, you're talking about the both of them are muad. And since they're both muad, you could collect from whichever one that you want because, there's no problem of collecting from whichever one you want. So says the Gemara, Ibe muadin, if we're talking about muads, so ema seifa, let's see the seifa, haya echad gadol ve'echad katan. If one of them was a big ox and one of them is a small ox, but Nizak and then Nizak says Gadol Hizik, right? That the big one was one that damaged the Mazik says no, it was only the Katan. Sorry, thank you. So therefore he has to bring the proof. B'muadin, if they're both muad, might have kamina. If they're both muad, what do I care then? So he says, sof, the main Torah Malia by Lishuni has to pay the damim of a big short of a he has to pay the hierarchy, he has to pay the best. It's a muad. So it says, no, you're right. Amalei Seifa is talking about the tams, and the Reisha is talking about with muads. So Amalei Ravacha Saba Ravashi. He says Ravacha Saba to Ravashi, Ibe muadin, if you're talking about now, we're talking about muad, so chayavim? What do you mean chayavim? Chayav gavra mibaile. It's the person, it's a human being, not chayavim. It's mashma like the shores. What's going on here? The two, and furthermore, my shneim, what do you mean shnehem chayavim? What is shnehem chayavim? It's only one thing. Chayavim, chayav. That's it. So says the Gemara, Ela Lolam, really, we're talking about tams and Rabbi Kivahi. Because he says that they're considered like a shutaf. You remember that according to Shtat Rabbi Kiva, the mazik and the nizak are considered partners. So the reason why is because he has both of them, which means that since both of the shores are in front of you, then nobody could push them off. Meaning nobody could push them off because they're both right in front. So therefore, what's he going to do? Both of them are right there. But what happens if one of the animals went up there? One of them got lost. He could say, he could come and say, you know what? Bring me a raya that it was this shore that damaged you. Maybe it was the other shore. So go bring a proof and come back to me. That's what he could tell him. Okay? Hadran alach hameniach. Okay. So we're now starting the fourth perek Revi'i. Shor Mishnah, Shor Shenagach Arba Chamisha Shvarim. What happens if you have a shor that he damages 4 or 5 shvarim? He gores 4 or 5 shvarim. Zachar Zeh, one after another. Yishalem la'acharon shebahem, he's only going to have to pay the last one. Okay? V'im yesh b'motar, if there's leftovers, yachseh shelefanav. Yesh b'motar, yachseh shelefnei fanav. Right? Ve'acharon niskar. These are the words of me. So let me say like this one more time. Remember that a shor tam only pays from his body. So if he gores 4 or 5 shores, it's probably not enough in his body to pay. His value is not as much. So what does he do? According to Shtat Rabbi Meir, you always pay the last one. If there's, half of the damages on the last one. If there's still left over in the shore, you go to the fourth one. Still left over, third one. Still left over, second one, which means the later ones, they are the ones that gain.
So if the fifth one,
that means we do not say
half of the one who got.
So then he pays the fifth one, but now he has to continue paying the fourth, third, second. But basically, we do not say that since he came and he damaged the first one, so he has to pay the first one and then the second one. And that no, we go backwards. 5, 4, 3, 2. Meaning, as long as there's leftovers, you continue going. But if there's no leftovers, Kaddish.
You take half of the value of the fifth, right? Because he only pays half.
Yes. Rabbi Shimon Omer. Rabbi Shimon says, he says like this. Shor shaveh 200 shenagach shor shaveh 200. What happens if you have a shor that's worth 200 that's gores a shor which is shaveh 200? Then nevela yafe klum, and the nevela is not worth anything. Ze notel maneh, ze notel maneh. So each one is going to take one maneh. Chazar v'nagach shor acher shaveh 200. If we went and it grabbed another one which is also shaveh 200, hacharon notel maneh. The last one is going to take a maneh. Shelefanav ze notel 50 zuz, and each one is going to take 50. Remember, the last one is always taking 100 because that's a half. Okay? So he's going to take 100, right? The one beforehand is going to be 50 zuz. And the Shnaim Arishonim, dinar zahav is going to be a dinar zahav. So one more time. The first case was 200. The nevela is not worth anything. Remember, because if the nevela was worth something, it would be a different halacha, because then he has to take, the nizak takes a mazik, there's machloket. Fine. So each one is going to take 100. If he goes another one, so the last one takes 100, and then they take 50-50. If he goes another one, so the last one takes 100, the one beforehand takes 50, and the other ones are going to take a dinar zahav, which is going to be 25. Says the Gemara. Okay? Until here, we're clear, yeah? Says the Gemara. Matnintin mani. Who is our Mishnah? Obviously, it's not going to be like Rabbi Ishmael and not like Rabbi Akiva. Why? Rabbi Ishmael, if you're going to tell me it's like Rabbi Ishmael, that he says that every single one of these bala shores are considered like a balchov. He says, what? The last one is going to gain? Should be the first one that should be able to do it. Why? If I lend you out money first, he lends you out second, he lends you third, who collects first? The first guy, not the last guy. So therefore, obviously, we're not considering them to be ba'alei chovot, because if I lend you money first, you have a lien to me before you have a lien on anybody else. And he could be Akiva. If you're going to tell me it's Rabbi Akiva that he says that Torah the shutfehu, that all of a sudden you become a partner in the shutaf. Hayeshbo mutar. If you have leftovers, Lamedvav Mubet 36b. Yachzir l'shelefanav lekulami ba'ele. It should go with everybody. Why? Because every single person became a shutaf with this guy. So why am I only going and paying the last guy? We're partners, and every single guy is a partner with him, with a shore. So it's obviously not like Rabbi Ishmael and not like Rabbi Akiva. So answers the Gemara. Amar Rava says leolam ki Rabbi Ishmael. Really, it's like Rabbi Ishmael that he says that they're considered ba'alei chovot. So now when you ask acharon niskar rishon niskar mibaile, hachama iskina, what are we dealing with? Kigon shetefaso nizak ligbot emenu v'nasa alav keshomer sachal nizakin. The nizak grabbed the shore after the negicha to collect from it, and therefore he became a shomer sachar for all of the nizakin. And therefore, since right now it's in the achrayut of the nizak rishon, and the nizak sheni grabbed it, now he becomes a shomer sachar. And then onwards. So therefore, even according to Rabbi Ishmael, that they're ba'alei chovot, still marviach misha nizaka acharon, because he's going to take the chetzi nezek from the one beforehand, because he became like a shomer sachar. Which means like this. One more time. So 1 second. The animal comes, he gores. The animal comes and he gores. the one that got gored, meaning the damagee, the nizak, he comes and he takes the animal to collect from it. The second that he takes the animal to collect from it, he becomes a shomer sachar on the nizikim. So if this animal now goes and gores, what happens? So kilu, it's in his property. So therefore, that's why the second guy could collect it. And the third guy will collect it from the second guy. And you continue going. Because if each one, that's what's going to happen. So therefore, kilu, they become a shomer sachar on the damages. So therefore, the last guy is the guy that could come and say, listen, I could take it. There's no problem. You lose out. So ask the Gemara, so one second, if you have leftover, why do we say that you go to the fourth guy, and then to the third, and then to the second? He says you should give it back to the owners. Because each one of them is a shutaf, right? Each one of them is, what is it? We're not going into the shutaf. We're going into shutaf balechorot. One more time. I don't know about the shore. Why? Because each one of the nizakim already grabbed the shore. So therefore, if there's leftover, it should go back to the bal shore, not anybody else. Ravina says, you always go to the last one, okay? Because each one, there's leftovers, so you go to the last guy that had it. So to when Ravin came, he said the name of Yochanan, Mishum Pshiat Shomrin Naguba. This entire case is because of Pshia of Shomrin, meaning you took the animal because you wanted to collect from it. But now that you took the animal, you're considered a Shomer Sachar. Why are you Shomer Sachar? Because you're taking money from that animal. So it's considered you're getting paid for watching that animal. So now when that animal itself goes and gores again, it's your fault. Because you were the one that's taking care of it now. Right? Beforehand, it was the owner's fault. Now it becomes your fault. Okay? So says the Gemara, why are you telling me this is going to be Bishmael? So let's see the Seifa. Rabbi Shimon says, imagine you have a shore which is worth 200, and that's going to gore another shore which is Shavet 200, and the Nevela is not Yafek Klum. Each one is going to take a moneh. Right? If it's going to gore another one, the last one is going to take 100, and the one beforehand is going to take 50, and another one take 50. If it's going to gore another one, the last one is going to take 100. The one before is going to take 50, and the two other ones are going to take 25. Dinar Zahav is 25. So obviously this goes according to Rabbi Akiva, that he says that they're shutafim. And since they're shutafim, this is the way that you're going to divide the money. That's right. So says the Gemara, so does that make sense? The Reisha is Rabbi Ishmael and the Seifa is Rabbi Akiva, right? What's going on here? So answers the Gemara, yes. The Amar le Shmuel, that Rav Yehuda says, Shmuel interview, the Shirin, a sharp one. Shevok matnitin betabatrai. Leave over the Mishnah and go after the Pashtut. Reisha is Rabbi Ishmael and the Seifa is Rabbi Akiva. Okay? Fine. We skip out these brackets. Okay? We skip out the brackets. So Tanan Hatan. We learned over there. We're talking about now another case in a Mishnah on Tzadik Amud Aleph. Atokea lechavero noten lo sela. Imagine right now I come and I blow the shofar in your ear. So it's like an embarrassment. You get scared, you get this, you get that. So what happens? So you have to give him a sela. Noten lo sela. Rabbi Yehuda omer mishum Rabbi Yosef Galileh. Says Rabbi Yehuda in the name of Rabbi Yosef Galileh. Maneh, right? What does he have to give him? Not a sela. He has to give him a maneh. So here he says the sela is only just for the boshet, for the embarrassment, right? And Rabbi Yehuda says the name of Yosef Galileh. He has to give him 100 zuz. That's a lot of money. Imagine that's a half a year's salary just for what he did. Okay, fine. So says the Gemara, Hahu Gavra, Detaka. Hahu Gavra Detaka lechavre. Somebody came and he blew in the guy's ear. Right, Rav Yosef. So he went and he asked him, Sela Tzuri Tzran or Sela Medina Tzran? When we said that he has to pay a Sela, what type of a Sela is it? Is it a Sela Tzuri, which is worth 4 zuz, right? Or is it Sela Medina, which is only worth half a zuz? Meaning, is it Sela from the Torah or Sela Medina? So Elmaleh, he says, we already learned it. Shnaim Arishonim, the first two people, which is Balashor and the Nizak, Dinar Zahav, is going to be 25. He said, now you're going to tell me Sela Medina. So why don't we just say that it's going to be 12 for a sela? Which means if he didn't come and say another case, which, to divide it basically, which is going to be 12 dinarim and a half, because if you have 25, you could still divide it by 2 to become 12 and a half. So the fact that we didn't say that, obviously we're not talking about that case. So Elmaleh, he says, Tana kiruch litne velisim. He says, what? Do you think that our Tana is like a rochel? A rochel is a peddler, is going back and forth. So he says, do you think that he's a rochel? The first he says, you take 100. Then he says, take 50. Then he says, take 25. Then he's going to say, take 12 and a half. And then he's going to say, take 12, 6 and a quarter. Kiluwa, you think that we're going, like Iowa, like where are we going? So my Haviyala. So what's the answer then? So he says, Pashtua me'ada amar Yuda amar Rav. They wanted to make a pashu from that which Rav Yuda says the name of Rav. Kol kesef amur, any kesef which is going to be said. Yeah, he comes and says, Kol kesef amur b'Torah is kesef suri v'shel divrehem. It's going to be kesef suri and it's going to be midrabbanan. Right? The kavanah is kesef medina, which means anything which is midoraita, right? Anything which is mina Torah is kesef suri. Anything which is midrabbanan is kesef medina. Remember, there was a huge difference between them because it was both called kesef. But the question is, what type of kesef? It's like you're going to tell me a dollar. Which dollar? You have an Australian dollar, you have a Canadian dollar, you have an American dollar. So you're right, you have the original, but it doesn't matter. They're all dollars, right? You have liras. So you had the lira in Israel, right? And you had lira sterling, the lira sterling of the British.
In Italy.
And in Italy, it could be also. Yeah? Huh? Well, now they have the euro, but maybe before. No. But you're right. Well, you have the francs. Francs you had in a few places. You had in France and you had Africa. You have in a few places also francs. In a sense, so it all depends. So therefore, he's coming and saying, whenever it's mina Torah, you always take the higher one, which is kesef tzuri. Whenever it's midrabbanan, you're going to take the kesef medina. So Amaleh gavra, right? So he comes and he tells him, Holu palga de zuzahu lo ba'ina. He comes and he says, since it's a shlum which is only going to be half of a zuz, he says, I don't want it. Netvil anim, go give it to the anim. Hadar Amaleh, so he went and he told him, Netvil nihale ezel v'ibre ben efshai. Right? I'm going to go and I want to listen. I'm going to buy something with it. So Amaleh of Yosef, no, I'm sorry. The second that you said, go give it to the anim, it already went to the anim. Even if there's not an anim here, we are the hands of the anim, and therefore we're zocheh for the anim. The Amar of Yudah says of Yudah name Shmuel yetomim enan tzrichim prusbol. We're going to get to the Mishnah. You're right, they don't need a prusbol. V'chen tani Rabbi Bar Chama yetomim tzrichim prusbol. Why? Because the bedin is already their hands, and therefore they don't. Usually, you need a prusbol to give it over to the bedin. Once in the bedin, it's not going to be shomet, right? Hashmatat ksafim by shemitah. Here, the bedin is already their hands, right? He says, "Rabban Gamliel bedino v'yen sheli tomim ayu." Hanan Bisha, Hanan Hara, right? That was his name. Yeah, he was nicknamed Hanan Hara. Yeah, okay. So he says here, Takalele Ugavra. He told him, Zil Havle Palga de Zuz, go give him half a Zuz. Havale Zuza Macha, he had a Zuz which was like Mauch. Baile Metu Lemine Palga Zuz, he wanted to give him half. Love him Mishtaka, he didn't want to take it. Right? Why? Because he couldn't use it. So Takale So what did he do? He blew it in his other ear and then he gave him the full Zuz.